to our podcast. I'm the Goddess Music,
I'm Abi Flynn.
and we're going to be talking about women in music and our spiritual connection.
And talking about our new single, Higher Love, which comes out today, which
Yay.
inspired this conversation and this moment to really explore these important themes that we both share.
Absolutely. There's a lot of depth to this track. It's not just a song, it's a bit more than that, which we'll probably explore now.
Yeah. So for a start, should we talk about how it came to be?
The instrumental. So I was playing around with a lot of different tracks at the time, and I actually wanted to make something that had an interesting transition because I love strings and I love exploring light and dark in tracks, and so I mix a lot of major with minor. And then when I heard Abby's vocals, which was a minor tone, I kind of was like, I want to bring light and dark into this. So although it was a minor key, which is E minor, which those that don't know music theory, it's just like a dark tone as opposed to a happy tone, I decided that I was going to put some piano chords and just sort of play around and see what kind of how I would feel when I listen to her vocals. It makes me go to a place where I'm just kind of zoned out, and I want to explore how I'm lifted, and I wanted the music to imitate that lift higher energy, if you like. And so went on a journey with just developing the piano chords first of all, and then it was okay, I want to bring in some darkness, and it was the instrumentation of the strings that really brought that out, because for me it was telling a story. Abby's vocal lyrics were just very inspiring. It was what's higher love? What does that mean to me? And it kind of meant I wanted to feel upliftment. I wanted to feel engrossed and hugged, if you like.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to bring that darkness, because with higher love sometimes it comes pain.
Yeah.
And I wanted the strings to demonstrate that pain.
Yeah.
So you hear this dun 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 dun,
yeah,
very
sinister
of being alive. But then it's comes through into this brightness, and then you hear Abby's sample vocals that I did, that comes in higher love, starts repeating, and the bliss and the upliftment comes in, and it's kind of a bit of a journey of up and downs, and that's kind of what I wanted to portray with the track. And I think Abby's vocals just really took me there. It wasn't oh, here's an instrumental, here's a vocal. It was a marriage of the two sort of journeys, if you like, that you were having and then I was experiencing through the music.
And actually this kind of keeps happening. I feel like our connection and the way we came to make a track together, it did feel like something beyond us. There was so many synchronicities.
A lot. Because
I just find it interesting that you're even the goddess, and I was doing a year-long course called the Goddess Initiation, and it just
there was a synergy.
There was some magic when you sent me the track, and I was like, I don't know what I expected, but you brought in this kind of this heart and this feeling, and then when those strings hit, and it's got this, I don't know, this palpable you can imagine the kick goes through your body.
And that's the feeling I wanted to give. If you hear it in a club, I want you to feel oh, where are we going here? And then it's ooh, I'm feeling a pulse, and it makes you want to move. It makes you want to feel something inside yourself.
That's it.
So that's where that element came from. Basically. But how we met was interesting.
And this keeps happening because as one of the things we wanted to explore is being a woman in music, and especially in dance music. It's a very male-dominated industry. We know that. There's not many producers, and it was really incredible to be approached by a female producer. And it feels like that kind of, there's already a really interesting meeting point when you join with another woman in dance, because you're
100%. You get each other. Yeah, it's an aha moment, isn't it? It's like a release. You kind of feel I know this one is going to get where I'm coming from, what my energy's about. And a woman's perspective on music is completely different to a man's. I feel we feel it in different ways.
That's it. It's very more intuitive. There's an emotional kind of bond there from the beginning of just oh, hello, I found you. And there was a bit of magic already, and then the theme of higher love was adding to that. And
definitely
I wrote that top line. Really, my journey is just wild, and I'm not going to go fully into it today, but I've had a journey with cancer. I've had numerous journeys of like near-death experiences that kind of had forced to be plugged into something higher and something deeper in myself. And I think I recorded that top line kind of fresh out of a cancer journey, healing, becoming a mother, and just, I would, like you said, that kind of trancey thing. It's like locking into something in myself for a medicine, spending time in the bedroom just recording top lines for me that I needed. And then, yeah, like letting that then be the medicine and find its way to the right producer, which then you felt that and you were like,
Straight
yeah.
away.
So it was like it was already like from that high love
Yeah,
frequency that we
we were
kind
both
of
on.
connected.
Yeah,
And I love
definitely.
that. And then we didn't know how it was going to progress. We went on a journey with it, but like the fact that as the release date was coming out, we were like, it's like we have like this duty or something as women working together in music with this kind of joint theme of what music being our medicine and music being our deeper
Absolutely.
connection. We were like, we have to do something with that for this single release. We have to like
Yeah.
have a conversation and start to normalize these themes, actually.
Definitely,
Yeah.
because there's more people than you think practicing these kind of things, which I want to talk about the spiritual journey and like
Yeah.
how your spiritual practices are intertwined with your
Music.
music,
Yeah.
and same for me. Like I've grown up very in a very diverse like situation where I've traveled a lot. My dad's practiced a lot of different
Mm.
spiritual practices. He went from Christianity to like Buddhism, and then like sort of would show me different teachings and taught me about meditation.
Oh, wow.
And that was really about just centering myself and stilling the mind and being able to draw things to yourself that
Mm.
are positive and kind of, you know, I guess you can call it like manifestation. I know that's a
Yeah,
bit like
yeah.
woo woo for some people, but it's
Oh my
like,
God, is it? That's just so normal.
but is it?
I
It's
forget
so
how,
normal. It's
yeah.
normal, but it's not at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's like one of those taboo conversations. You're thinking like, how's this person going to take me right now if I just brought this in? And like,
The deeper
but
subjects, yeah,
deeper subjects. But I
yeah.
love all that stuff. Like I love connecting to the universe, and like I know the stars are aligning, or
Yeah.
astrology, all those different kind of things. And I'm always learning like new practices and discovering myself again and again. Like my
Yeah.
name means rebirth for starters, my real name. So
Wow,
it's
yeah.
like makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And for me, I always try to connect the dots. So when I
Mm.
started practicing yoga just recently actually, I was like, now it's actually aligning. I'm actually understanding myself a lot more because
Yeah.
I'm very quick. Like I think a lot of things, and the way my brain works, because I'm dyslexic, I see the bigger picture and I try to piece everything together at once. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you need to still that mind, and meditation for me is where it brings me totally to a
Mm.
peace,
Mm.
and then I can like weigh things up and think, oh, okay, that's how I'm gonna go about it. Do you know
Yeah.
what I
And did
mean?
you find like ideas like piano riffs or beats like come from that space?
All the time. Like
Mm.
I'll be in a meditational state and then I'll wake up out of it and then a riff will come in and I'll be like,
Yeah.
gotta get that down. And that was a little bit like one of my other tracks called Heaven. I dreamt
Ah.
that melody.
Yes, that happens to me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And it was
Yeah.
just like, wow, it's disturbing me to that point where I have to get it out. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, do you
You're like,
know
I have
the,
to birth this
yeah, I
thing.
have to, yeah,
That's
literally.
the difference. Like being a woman, like you do have this other connect. Like women have the thing of like taking stuff from the ether and like
Mm-hmm.
literally birthing it through our bodies. And of course, like we all do that as men and women, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a different relationship to that as women. Like it comes in dreams and it comes through feelings in our bodies and emotional connections. And
Yeah, because we
yeah,
are emotional beings. Like
yeah,
comparison to men, we are the ones that feel a lot
yeah.
more. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. I love that.
What about you? What sort of practice?
I'm just laughing already at myself just for like I'm like what haven't I done in the in the way of like my spiritual journey. And I mean I think I was 26 when I was diagnosed with cancer, and I had been like a musician my whole life. I'd been
Mm,
a soul singer, and I was like working a lot as a feature singer for a lot of different male orientated acts and bands. And then I knew I had like a massive insecurity. I had a lot of self-hatred, and like I think that's so normal with
yeah,
creative people, people with
pick
like
ourselves
trauma.
apart.
Yeah, exactly. We usually get into music as a way to heal. And um I didn't realize how bad it was. And then I got diagnosed with cancer, and it was like that was the catalyst for me to really go somewhere deeper in myself and try and find like what is it that I'm not looking at in myself? What is it that I want and need? And
Mm.
I was like almost like just being this object for like other people's projects. And I was like, who's Abi Flynn? What's my voice? If my mortality is real and I don't know what's going to happen to me next with this diagnosis, like how do I discover this now and live my way? And it just took me on a journey of, I think I started out reading like The Power of Now, and
I've read that book.
yeah,
I
as
still
most
have
people's
that book.
in
Yeah, yeah, that is
went
the
on
way
this
in, definitely.
exactly
Yeah.
deep journey of like inquiry about, yeah, like kind of stealing all of those false identities I'd built up and stripping them back and kind of coming into like this truer essence that started to reveal. And then I wrote an album, like on my deathbed, like honestly, weeks to live. I did
Wow.
so many different healing modalities, and my music was the thing that carried me and was like, you're gonna live because you're gonna release this album. And
Wow.
that carried me into all sorts of realms of, for me, I do a lot of in a emotional healing. I do a lot of embodiment work, movement, like all this community showed up to hold me in these new ways of being and approaching
Mm.
life. And I think my music was really the thing that carried me there. And yeah, it is such a weird thing because I ended up healing myself very radically through all of my own pathways, which I won't go into. And it was a mix of everything, really. But that kind of showed me how much more to life there was. And this higher
Mhm.
love theme, it was like, I'm held by something greater, and that is me too. And I did a lot of the transcendent and a lot of like
Mm.
meditation lifting, but for me, what really my path has been coming in and down and into the body and into my emotions and really accepting my humanity. Like that's been my spiritual path. And I do weird things. I go away and I drum and I do shamanic journeying and I hold space for women and I do womb work. But really, like, it's my music is where I find my voice and myself. And getting
Yeah.
into the dance world was not expected. Like
Yeah.
being this now famous voice doing Navos Believe Me and
Yeah.
DOD's So Much in Love. And
Love that
I
track too.
recorded those when I had cancer. So I did not
Wow.
expect those to go anywhere. But we were talking about manifestation. Like
Yeah.
part of my journey was the more I listened to the true voice in me
Mm.
and let my music carry me there, these things would happen. Like suddenly, like a phone call from Universal. Oh, your voice is on dance music and it's really famous. And
Yeah.
so
But
I'm still on this journey of like kind of
yeah,
integrating
yeah,
that
yeah.
side of me. And then,
But
yeah,
do you
it's
think
weird.
that's kind of like a karmic kind of coming back to you because you putting out a certain
Yeah.
like healing and therefore someone is picking up on that and
Yeah,
connecting with it.
I
And
think
then
so.
that's
Yeah.
why it's gone the way it's gone.
I think so because I was literally like dying when I recorded this. It's quite morbid, but
Mm.
you on paper, like when I recorded those top lines, but I was so blissed out because I was actually tapped into something
Mm.
deeper, higher.
Mm.
And I was like just singing these things off the top of my head, and they have a magic. It's like, it's so simple. Like, let's take it back to a time when we were so much in love. It's not like
Mm.
profound like lyrics,
Mm.
but it was coming from a place where I was like just so plugged in. And I think you're
Wow.
right. That's
Yeah.
why it was a big service in the world that I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even
yeah,
mean
yeah.
to do. And I'm really entering a place now, and this may be similar for you, where I'm like, okay, like, how do I now bring it back to me, for me, like, as a woman in
Absolutely.
this industry, that actually there's a lot of like resistance to women in their power and women in being their own women. And it's like, how can we actually team? I think we need each other to
We
team up
do,
and
yeah.
speak
I
to,
think the support of each other is so essential.
yeah,
And like you coming from your platform, me coming up and discovering myself, the
yeah,
goddess music, and
yeah,
what that represents. Like why I am called the goddess music is basically because during lockdown, I was releasing a lot of music,
yeah,
and a lot of my fans from an old page that I still have. As a solo artist, I
yeah.
was being called, oh, goddess, da, da, da. Like, yeah,
Really?
just randomly. I'm like, where's this coming from? What are they saying, you know?
Yeah.
So like someone said one day, like, I think you should be the goddess. Like, and I was like, I kind of like that, but it's very bold, you know, to call yourself
Yeah.
that, you
And it
know,
probably
like
initiated you into
it
this
did, like it
journey. Yeah.
affiliated me and it initiated me into like, right, I know what I've got to do now. I
Yeah.
have a mission. I became this woman producer, you know,
Mm-hmm.
trying to discover myself,
Mm.
rediscover my sounds. And yeah, like I realized that what it meant for me was representation of femininity and, you know, having boldness, being powerful, being out there and the music to represent that,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, for me, I like to always support women in music and just help
Hmm.
us find our voices. And I think when we team up, we're a bigger source, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We're
Yeah.
touching on something that is really important.
Yeah.
And actually, there's been more voices coming out the woodwork recently of like just women who haven't been credited, like
Oh,
my
yeah.
journey, and there's lots of other women and songwriters generally, and but it's like when you start having the conversations and you start connecting and making music together, it speaks for itself. It opens up this like topic that, and it
Mm.
starts to normalize like
Yeah.
what's not been okay. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm really
think
happy we're
for
doing that.
me, trying to find my voice, that's been the hardest journey. And I
Yeah.
got put off a long time ago. I've always produced, but like through experiences in the past, like being around a lot of men, I've never been accepted as a producer. It's
Yeah.
only been recently where people have been like, yeah, she does do this. Oh, she does make it by herself. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
just
Wow.
knowing and having that knowledge and then being accepted, it has been a long road. And
Yeah.
so for you to come along and be like accepting of me as well, it was a
Yeah.
big deal. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
wow.
And you know, admiring you from afar as well. Like
Mm.
I heard a track that you did with Varsky,
Yeah.
remixed it, and then it was like next thing you know, we're connecting, and it was just like,
Yeah.
what?
No, I felt your energy straight
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
fact that your name was the goddess, I was like, I'm listening. I'm listening.
There's a path here. There's something going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because that's my path. Like, I will sit every day and tune in to goddess. And like, to me, the word goddess for me means like actually life itself. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Mm.
have a gender. It's like actually, I mean, women are the kind of portal, but it's like, for me when I'm tuning into goddess, it's like spirit in my body, like
Right.
both spirited matter, like I am
Mm.
more than just my body and I'm more than just my spirit, like transcending, and I'm both. And so that's what the path of goddess has meant to me. So like when you came along, I
Brilliant.
was like, cool, let's marry worlds, let's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like bring something together that's not at the moment happening enough.
Not enough, and it's
Yeah.
great. I think it's great that
Yeah.
we've come together and support each other in that way. Like, and it was so
Yeah.
important for me to credit you on the track.
Yeah,
You know,
thank you. Yeah.
coming from your background that you've had and that,
Yeah.
and having all these hits and with guys, and it's just been like no
No
recognition.
one's wanted to name me. It's
It's
so
crazy.
interesting. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
know I did a splice pack and that's on me, and
yeah,
I'm not like bitter about, that's like the deal. But it's been really interesting since I did that, how people don't want to cut me in now, because it was like, we only want you anonymously. We don't want you like
is that like a royalties thing or a credit thing
just
or?
naming. I think it's just like, it's almost like, I don't know, it hasn't been a done thing always to like name the singer, has it? It's like
No,
quite a
no,
new
no.
thing.
Yeah, it
Like
is
Becky Hill's story was really empowering, and
absolutely.
some other what's that lovely lady who's doing it again? Oh, she's been on loads of hits. I can't remember her name, but Kelly Lee.
Ray. Oh,
Sorry,
Kelly
Kelly Lee.
Lee. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, she's
she's
a
like,
massive
so it's
example
changing.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is changing, and this makes the difference. Like getting together and being like, let's do it. Equal names, of course, as it should be. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm my next single's going to be all about that as well. Like just claiming it back for me and being
Hmm.
my own woman and figuring out how I'm gonna kind of do it differently now and say no to things that don't represent my worth. And
Yeah,
I think this is
absolutely.
such a good place to be, like us on release day today as well,
Yeah.
kind of coming together in the theme that brought us together, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just making a noise about, yeah, like what it is to be a woman, and the experience and the trials and tribulations we've had to endure in this industry, but
Mm-hmm.
actually how that we are alchemizing, like we're creating something beautiful because of that
Mm.
oppression. And if there wasn't that oppression, we wouldn't necessarily be having this incredible like kind of like growths and innovations. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm enjoying like making beauty out of adversity. I guess that's
Ah,
what I'm
yeah.
about.
Love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah,
So
which is kind
like,
of like what your track, like the music feels like that too,
yes, it
Yeah,
definitely embodies that whole, you know, as I said, the
the light and
energy in
dark.
light and dark and
Yeah,
facing adversity and overcoming
yeah.
adversity, you
And
know?
like disco and house comes from the most oppressive kind of civilizations that were pushed underground, that were not
Mm.
accepted, race, sexuality, like
Mm.
the gay scene, like you know, that is actually the origins of this music we're making. So it's like
Absolutely.
we're in an oppressive place, we're going through all this struggle, but we're going to sing about higher love, because like when you're like, diamonds are forged under pressure. Like when you
Yeah.
put enough pressure, it's like the hedonism and the rebellion of actually shining, daring to shine anyway. And I feel like your production, everything I've heard from you, carries this like real substance of like what it is to like be alive and facing all this stuff, but like brings through that joy, like that like bloom through through the darkness.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like you
Kind of like to
said,
have that little silver lining, you know? It's like,
yeah,
oh, we're not sure where we're going here, but you know, there's a silver lining. You know,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
light at the end of it, you know. Especially,
yeah,
you know, you hear about, I don't want to get too dark, but like, you know, there's a lot of wars going on at the moment.
yeah,
And obviously just recently there was an incident in Israel.
yeah,
Don't know if you heard about that. And it
yeah,
was just like, and people were partying to house music. And it just
yeah.
shows you the
It's the
juxtapose.
medicine, yeah,
It's just like people come together to express themselves and to be engrossed in music and feel the
mm.
euphoria, but then at the same time we're fighting battles
Yeah. That's the
constantly.
paradox of being alive, isn't
Mm.
it? It's like it's
So it's an
hard.
important thing, I
Yeah,
think, especially dance music
yeah.
and that whole,
It connects, and it
yeah.
might be, sometimes people accuse dance music of being shallow. I know that I was judged by moving from the jazz soul world into dance, but you know what, it's really not. It's the thing that connects everyone. It's music for everyone. Everyone can dance to it. Doesn't matter where you are in your life. You can be out in the club, whatever. I don't club, but
Yeah.
you can be out, and you're like, oh, it's actually what it is most people's spiritual connection. They might not
Yes.
meditate, they might not be on a yoga mat, but life is a spiritual journey. And the club is most people's connection to something
Absolutely.
higher.
Absolutely.
So
Even
that's
if they
why we
don't know
do.
what it is
Yeah.
themselves or that it's happening to them, you know,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
experiencing
it's
something.
beyond the
Yeah.
mind. It moves your body, it moves your senses, and I think that's what you're doing amazingly in your
Thank
work, because I
you.
feel that when your music is like, yes, like I don't even need to think about it. I'm just like, I feel something deeper. I feel a higher love, you know.
Good.
And apparently that's what my voice does, so we're a dream team.
High five to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Awesome. I'm really grateful that we came together and we've made such a beautiful track. I just really hope that everyone else receives it in that way or takes it
Yeah.
however the way they want to experience it. But,
Yeah.
you know, for me, it's about putting love out and love and light in the energies,
Yeah.
in the universe, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, and
Letting
touch
it do its
people.
thing.
Let's do its thing. Yeah.
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 Oh, we're getting a special guest on.
Yeah.
I just
Yes.
remembered.
Yeah.
I was very engrossed.
So was I.
I was like, sorry, how long has it been? It's been a year.
Me too. I was like getting lost in the song.
So easy, so natural.
So easy, isn't it?
So an invitation. I made these. They're called rooms. I made them from clay.
Oh, wow.
And a very beautiful older woman who does all this stuff, and they're just like my little friends that like. I just like want a little message. It's a bit like having cards, but they're like really tangible, and I birthed them, so I love them. So you can take a little one, and hopefully I'll know the meaning, because I don't know them all off by heart. But so this one's seed, so it's like I'm seeding something new, creating something.
That is on
Yeah,
point.
birthing, conceiving anew. So this is very on point. Would you like one?
Very on point.
A little seed. Put them back in a minute. What you get? Ooh, that's that. It's like, again, that's actually new beginnings. The beginning of a cycle coming into fruition.
You're goosebumping me right now.
Yeah,
Feeling it.
like, whereas this one's like the conception, and this is like entering almost like a spring, like growing, blooming into a new state. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm praying that I know what your room means as well. I'm like, I could be making it up, to be fair, but
Just make it up, baby.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Whatever you say sounds good.
Oh, that one's it's called Manas, so it's like humanity, community, doing actually for higher purpose. So it's like service and coming together with your tribe to create something important for the world. So there we go, ladies.
That was
We're
inside.
on
Right.
point, clearly.
There's power in this room today.
Right? They were just
Wow.
speaking to me. I was like, we want to come on the podcast. I was like, all right.
You can hear the little voice down below.
Yeah. Mama, get me out the bed. No, thank you. It feels so good as well.
And
Yes,
what are they
thank you
made
for
out of, you
humouring that.
said?
They're like made out of clay, but they've
Mhm.
like been fired in a kiln to like be like
Okay.
they're like stoneware now. So
Nice.
good. One shattered the other day. I was like, what does that mean?
Ooh.
Yeah, we're good though. So yeah, so this is Bekka, and this is my friend, this beautiful woman who, when Renee and I had this idea to have this conversation and talk about our new single Higher Love, and talk about women in music and women who have had stories and journeys that where music's been their medicine. You'd literally come into my life that same week, and I was like, there's something going on here with, like, I just knew you needed to meet, and I knew you needed to be part of this conversation for some reason.
Wonderful.
So I don't know if you want to share about your journey a little bit, what you do and why you're here.
So my name is Bekka Whitney. I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been in music for most of my life, but I would only say, like, in a professional capacity in probably the last 5 years. I worked in local government, but at the same time was doing house music with my house act called Nightgeist. And I was doing a role that was of service in terms of what my day job was. It was about supporting vulnerable people. It was about looking after troubled families and helping people in life crisis, which fulfilled one part of my soul. But music was always the thing that kind of kept me going. It was always my release, you know. But it was the thing that I did on the side. It wasn't the thing that I did as the main. And then we had a little hit. And we got playlisted on Kiss and Capital, and that light bulb moment went off in my head, like, bloody hell, I could actually do this for a career. And then I got really unwell, like mental health wise. I had a little bit of a breakdown, and I was really struggling with all the kind of the pressure of work. And I just made a decision, I'm just going to do it.
Yes.
Life is just too bloody short.
Has
It's been calling me all of my life that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't think things can get any worse than they are right now,
No.
so I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
Amen.
And that was like 7 years ago. And I spent, 2 years being the starving artist and thinking about how the bloody hell am I going to make this work. But the fulfillment on the inside, it didn't matter what the struggle was, because I knew I was fulfilling my purpose. I knew that this was the catalyst. This was the start of a journey.
Yeah.
From a child, I always wrote and I sang songs, and I experienced a lot of trauma as a child. And music was my way of releasing that and talking about that and putting that into a way that other people could understand or resonate with. And so it's always been the thing that has carried me through. And I like to talk about the fact that we all experience pain. We all have our own individual journeys and traumas. And I like to alchemize mine.
Yeah.
I like to take it from me and transform it and
push it
put
out
it
there.
out there for somebody else to resonate with or hate or take comfort from or connect with in whatever way that it is. I think we're all storytellers and we've all got stories to tell, but for me that has really been the thing that has helped me cope through life. So then we had our little hit in the house scene, and that kind of pushed me to kind of, this has got to be the full-time career now. And I wouldn't say, we had massive hits all around the world. We didn't quite get there, but it was enough to make me know that I can do this. Yeah, enough to give me the push. And then over the last couple of years, I've moved quite a lot into the live space. So I do a lot of live band work. We do a lot of events kind of thing. And then I started to think about what I wanted to give back. And so I wanted to give other artists the chance to experience that alchemy. I think when you play with live musicians, there's something magic that happens. There's there is a spell that's cast almost, especially when you get into that pocket.
And you only feel that once,
right?
Each time, isn't it? It's a once in a lifetime experience.
And so I wanted to give other artists who had never experienced that the opportunity to know what that felt like. Our sort of our bedroom producers or our guys that don't play instruments and doesn't know what that feels like. So kind of we started to do an open mic night. We've been doing that for the last 2 years, a live band open mic night, which is supporting those kind of up and coming artists to play and hear their songs transformed with a live band. That's been really exciting. Wow. I really enjoy that, and I want to take that further. I want to grow that in kind of building that live space. I think that's, for me as a performer, when you connect with the audience and they connect with you, there's like a transfer of power and it just fuels me
and it mirrors you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
And that's like, that is the higher love, like that frequency you're talking to. It's like that thing that we all belong to. And you're saying is like, when you're on stage, sometimes we know it as performers, not everyone might know it, but it's like you lock into that pocket, which maybe is what the club goers feeling on the dance floor. But it's like as women in music as well, it's quite it's a very intuitive thing that draws us to that, isn't it?
And I think performing, for me, is the outlet as well. So it's also the release. So whatever crap I've had go on in the last week, or whatever the ups and downs of life have been this month, when I hit that stage and I put it in the microphone, that is my medicine. That is the transformative power. That's me pushing it from me, putting it out there. Whether I'm feeling ecstatic, whether I'm feeling incredibly sad, whatever it is, it goes into that microphone. And I think that's why I've been lucky in how much people resonate with me in the live space, because they feel it. They feel my energy,
real.
they feel my intention. It is real.
Yeah.
And that's another interesting thing. I don't know what you think about this, ladies, is when you write about things from a personal experience or a personal journey, sometimes it can be hard because you're almost reliving it.
Oh yeah, I've written songs like that, and I've just cried.
Every time.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, and that is the alchemy.
Right.
And we live in a world that wants to separate the uncomfortable, the grief, the rage, and we just want to focus on, like, as in the higher love is like somewhere up there, and it's not. It's in. I bet it's like tapping into that rage, that grief, that pain. That's where it comes from.
No, there can't be any up there
No.
without any down here.
It's true.
The two, it's a line, from one end to the other.
So, and that's why I think you're such a powerhouse. Like, not only a singer and an artist musician, but you also set up your own company, Acapella, which is PR and marketing and helping women, and that's how we've met. And I just feel like you're just like this ever-giving chalice of kind of inspiration and creativity.
Or I have ADHD and I just can't focus on one thing at one time.
Spirituality is a trauma response.
Well, that's your superpower. That's all good.
It's my experience, but it's what makes me special. But yeah, it's not separate. But like, you've been through an incredible amount of adversity just this year, and you're still.
This year has been intense. So I've spent the last couple of years kind of moving a little bit away from my own creation, and that's been interesting. I was talking to you a little bit about this the other day, Abby, that I love performing, I love music, but I got into a bit of a comfort zone. My ego was satisfied because I'm singing and you're singing back to me, and the energy's great, and the gigs are busy, and I'm getting that.
You
but
feel
it's not
fulfilled.
It's not my story.
Okay.
It's not my tale. I'm singing somebody else's tales and stories.
And
I haven't released anything of my own. Night Guys, we released some stuff last year, but since 2019 was the last time I sort of released some stuff that was Bekka. And at the beginning of this year I had a heart attack, sort of diabetes related health stuff. Eating too much sugar, guys. And it's given me a bit of a reality check, and it's made me start thinking about legacy and what are the things that I want to leave behind, and what are the things that I want to say. And it took me to such a dark place, thinking about your own mortality and thinking about time. It's like a clock has started ticking in the back of my mind that I never knew was there before. And everybody has it, but we're not just dialed into it, most of us. We're oblivious to it. And then something happens, and then all of a sudden, I'm so aware of time. I'm not frightened of the end, but I am frightened of running out of time before I've had the chance to tell my story and talk about the things that I want to talk about. And so in a way, it's given me a bit of a shake and thinking about what's the higher love within myself, what's the story that I want to tell, what's my higher self. Mission? I don't think I've expressed that yet. I'm very much about empowering and supporting and uplifting and giving a platform to others, but now I need to take that spot for myself.
And I feel like there's a song for you two to make. That's actually one of the main reasons. Like, I felt everything she was saying, and I was like, I know Renee will get this, and I know that it wouldn't just be like, oh, any old, like you said, I'll just need to sing about something and get a producer. It'd be like, no, there's something that wants to move through from a deeper place. And
I'm up for it if you are.
But it is just like what you're saying. It's just like those adversities, those darkest moments, that pain that we all experience, and as women as well, like there's a lot of unique trauma we experience with our bodies, and it's like our music has, for all three of us, by the sounds of it, has been the thing that's really
brought us together,
and connected us to that alchemy, the gift that lies inside of those challenges, and it's incredible that music can do that for us.
Do you not think that that's why it's so orchestrated and controlled in some ways, because of how incredibly powerful it is?
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. Fly the world with one song, and so the power from it is controlled.
It's the same power that women have innately as beings who take spirit and turn it into matter. Like, it's a terrifying power, and like, actually everyone loses when we as men and women don't allow that power to, and it's the same thing as our mortality. Like, women are the gatekeepers of birth and death in a way, and it's like, yeah, it's a really scary thing to tap into, like, our magic, because it comes with our mortality and our
Absolutely.
pain, and but when you allow it, my God, how medicinal for the world.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not being afraid of your own shadow, or of your own power, and totally accepting, you know, what you can put out, because when you do that, you actually come out the other side lighter and, you know, absolutely lifted.
Yeah. Like I said to you, I was like, you're glowing.
Yes.
Glowing.
Well, it's our release day, so
You've been in spaces where you can't release, where you can't write, and how has that been? How has that impacted?
I felt
frustration.
like it actually, like, was killing me inside. Like, I've been, like, chronic fatigue, not being able to birth my album. It was just, and then my voice being out and being really famous, but not being able to, like, connect myself in my own story. It was like, I just felt like I was filling up on the inside, and I needed to explode and release my own music. And that's kind of what part of what we're doing now with these releases, coming together and just putting it out with our own names on, and telling our story. It's so important, and it doesn't even have to be in so many words when it's dance music, and just carry something that everybody
I think that's where dance music is so incredibly powerful, because you can take really quite serious themes and put
make
it
it
light. Everybody can relate to it. You know, I'm going to talk about my age here, but like, the modern music for me nowadays, it doesn't resonate with my spirit. I feel like it's lost its soul a little bit. But in certain spaces and certain genres, like, is actually, sometimes that's where you can find your soul. Sometimes that's where you can feel the resonance.
It's interesting. It's like, actually, dance music, like anything that's such a big movement, it has equally, like, so much false, shallow, formulaic, and that's why it can get a bad name. But at the same time, there's, like, some of the most hearty, incredible, connecting, like, things going on. And I've been going into rooms where I'm like mind blown. I'm like, I could go on a spiritual retreat for a week and sit around and meditate and do all this, but I've had more of a spiritual immersion in this few hours in this room with this person, connecting with their heart. And like,
do you think as well, because we were locked up for like 3 years, aka lockdown, do you feel that we have more of a not desperation, I don't want to say desperation, but like a craving for that human connection again, and we're just sort of coming into it now, where we're touching each other, we're seeing each other, we're feeling each other's energy again?
The fear is dialing down a little bit, and human connection is starting to manifest again. And working in the live space, I saw that quite a lot. We had a residency in Soho, and we were the only band in central London still playing throughout the lockdown. So every time everything opened up again, we were straight back to performing. No other bands would play.
So you'd have all the audience.
But we didn't care.
I always saw it as like a collective global initiation into the feminine, like the dark, the body, the emotion, because as much as it's been such a trauma and such a tragic thing in so many ways, the pandemic and COVID and everything, so many people have been forced under that pressure, under that adversity, into like, who am I? Like, what am I here to do?
100%.
Like,
Self-discovery
all these false
again.
structures come down, and then, like you said, the opening on the other side of that was like, oh, like, how do we human? Like, let's get back in touch with something deeper. So many of the masks have been dropped, and it's like, it reminded me of what I had to go through the cancer journey. It was like, whoa, the planet's going through something similar right now, where it's like, we're met with our mortality, or it really does, it breeds life, actually. Facing your death, facing mortality breeds life. And the more we run from our mortality and we run from death, the more we're living in this kind of sad, like, castrated, I don't know, dissociated, numb space. And I've tried everything I can to escape my body and my mortality, and even use spirituality as a way to try and do that, which I think 90% of the spiritual movement is. But I've realized, like, I have to just fall more deeply in love with my pain, my trauma, my ADHD, my trauma of being a woman, like, all of those things, and my illnesses, they're all showing me something, pointing me back to something deeper inside of my humanity, and how sacred this life is. And how we're, like, when we stop, like, running those fears, letting them run our lives, and we start to, like, tap into that creative well, which you have to feel through the tears and the pain, like, it will carry you forward. It will carry you where you need to be carried. And I feel blessed in a way in that sense to have experienced such an immense adversity. Like, it is the unique gift we have, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about not being afraid to dig into the darkness, to take the lid off that box and have a look at the pain inside or the trauma inside and take it out. And I think we're all so trained to run from pain, to distract from it, to find something to numb it, to not feel it.
Yeah.
But actually there's something so cleansing and so affirming of self.
I think you have to feel it.
Of course you do. You have, if that's the only way you're going to own it and kind of grow through it, is to look at it. But as a society, we're trained to hide from it, and you know,
even like with Mental Health Month and things like that, that is really enlightening for people, because a lot of people haven't had a voice to speak on it, and I think normalizing that is really help people come out of their darkness and learn more about, you know, what it's like to have a stigma and not feel like a normal person or not feel right in the world, you know, and knowing there's other people going through those same things.
Yeah. Together we rise. That's the thing, when you come together, and that's what house music, dance music brings people together. So like, that's like double trouble. Like, when you come together as people, as women especially, and you make something of your pain like that. It's like, it's so powerful. Like you said, it's actually it's like threatening to the current structures of reality that need to come down.
And speaking on that, what do we want to see for the future? Like, how do we see it looking, or what
for women in music?
For women in music,
and for music, I think as a more of a deep, as a medicine, like, and normalizing that. Yeah.
I think that for the artist to take back control of the music, big challenge.
Autonomy.
Yes.
We are the birthers.
It's not tap into themes and trends, but tap into self. And, you know, the organic resonance that comes from self. That's where the truth is. That's what I'd like to see. More truth, more heart, more soul in music.
And
not
it's
just
like
romantic, but you know, that's what
it's
I'd like
true.
to
And the
see.
thing is, that's when big hits happen, because people feel it, and then labels want to try and recreate it with a formula. You're never gonna. It's beyond the mind. You have to come in and down. Like, and I love that you said that. It's like, I share that vision. Like, if we can teach ourselves and each other, don't be afraid to just show up with who you are, the message in your heart. Bring all of you. You don't have to be 20 and skinny, like, to be a woman in a music industry. You don't have to be one thing. And if you dare to shine as you are, like, no amount of like structure or formula that people are trying to tell you will get you to the top can touch that, because that is a force. I call that the great she. She will move you.
Do you know a classic example of someone who's doing that at the moment? I would say is Ray. I feel like she has really, I've met her as well and worked with her. So I saw her just before she went through that transition with her label. And to see where she's come out through now, and she's just stripped everything of what we know to be like her authentic self. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
people are loving it.
Yeah, people are loving it. She's shot straight up to the top with it, and that's because she's being authentic. You know?
Life is all
more
about
authenticity
transition and growth, isn't it? That it's okay to change, it's okay to evolve. That's part of the journey. Stagnation is death at the end of the day. So if you stay in the same space,
harbor's death.
Absolutely.
And it's I think another thing I'd like to see is women supporting each other like this, like, and daring. I think we've been like segregated for so long, and kind of like, well, women's place in the dance music industry is just like to be an object, to sell sexy, or to just
be a voice
anonymous
with no face.
and be the voice that we the God producer uses. And I'm not like
you're just the voice.
Most of the men I work with in this industry are beautiful men. Like, it's not about dissing men or making men the problem. It's the patriarchal structure, which is something men and women suffer from. And I think, you know, a lot of the men I work with would love to give me the opportunity, but we're all so used to these systems, and they're like, well, I can't be the first to do that. And if we start to speak up, it normalizes and says, like, of course, like, why would you not want Abi Flynn's name on your record? Why would you not want the Goddess Music producing your thing with, like, being our upfront, like, producer with her face on it? It's like, of course we benefit from it. Stop being so afraid of us. Like, just because we're so powerful, we love you, we want to work with you.
Because it's the yin and the yang, isn't it? You can't have the man without the woman and woman without the man. But it's when you're, like you say, not shying away from your powers and combining them and making a massive impact. you know.
Yeah, that's it. We need to fall out of the illusion we were sold. That's kind of slowly coming down and come together and be like, it's okay. It's win-win is safe. Actually, win-win is healthy. And you just have to like be the one that goes first. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering what role I'm gonna have to take in that, with the extreme position I have with the Splice Pack and my voice being so famous. And there's not many people in the same position as me where it's happened so many times, and I'm still so unknown and unnamed. And I've had like a few news outlets ringing me, like, I have to tell you about this later, but they're like, yeah, do you want to share your story on behalf of women in the music industry? And I'm like, like, I do, and I don't want it. For me, it's like, it's got to come from a place of unity. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want any big media outlets to shape this into something it's like, that's like
negative.
opposition. Yeah, like I want to create togetherness and find a new way and encourage more women, which we've been putting out messages to ask women to send us some videos, haven't we?
Yeah,
for this
yeah, that's
campaign?
right. Yeah, it'd
So
be
just-
interesting to see everyone's stories and what they have to say.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like coming back to the track. It's like the power of love, like to connect us, and doing it from that energy, from that space. And opposition is necessary. Opposition and no, and like standing up for yourself is necessary when it is, but also like I just feel like this energy that we've been speaking to that connects us all does have the power to just like blow everything else out the water. Like,
I mean, one of the reasons I started a cappella was because I am an older artist, and so I was tired of glass ceilings.
Yeah.
I was tired of being told, no, you're not the right look, you're not the right fit.
You're a mother. Oh God, no.
God. Yeah. I was once told that because you've got kids, you can only really be a studio artist. You
Oh, I
can't go on
know.
tour.
Me too.
Because I have children. What?
Oh,
It's
So
so
kind of
wrong.
a cappella is about giving that voice and you know, supporting those artists that are more marginalised or a little bit older, or they might have a disability, or you know, and kind of giving them that opportunity to shine, because I think it is universal and it shouldn't be controlled by a small handful of people that have all the power. And actually it's realising that the power comes from the artist. The power is inside of us. It's us that's alchemising and manifesting this magic in the first place.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, artists themselves need to be reminded of that. When you hear so many no's, or you have so many doors closed in your face, it's tough to find that resilience to keep going. And so a cappella is about, you know, providing that safe space for all artists.
I love that.
well, thank you so much, Becky, for
Yeah.
sharing your story with us. It was
Yeah.
amazing to hear
Yeah.
and connect with you today. Hope
So
we can make some
inspiring.
beautiful music as well. We'll see.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
And thank you, Abby, as well.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, thank you
And
guys.
congratulations on release day,
I
guys.
know.
Yes.
Happy release day. Friday the 13th, by the way. It is
Lucky
not
for
an
all.
unlucky day.
Well,
It's
not
the
for
day of
all, for
Goddess.
some.
And lucky for the boys
We're
today.
taking it back. Friday the 13th. Lucky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank